radical plan to dump petrol tax and rego in favor of new toll roads you can't avoid, and it could cost drivers more than $8.5 billion a year. An increase in electric vehicles has amplified calls for Australia to move towards a user-pays system to fund the nation's roads. Infrastructure Australia this week released an ambitious new plan to help build and maintain roads across the country, with a focus on axing the fuel excise tax and vehicle registration fees. And the reforms are tipped to cost the nation's drivers an extra $8.5 billion annually by 2047. The independent body's Making Reform Happen research paper sets out a plan which would see all existing taxes and fees removed and replaced with direct charging that reflects each user's own consumption of the network. That consumption would include the location, time and distance of travel, and the individual characteristics of their vehicle such as weight and emissions. Infrastructure Australia anticipates the reforms would also boost annual GDP by $36.5 billion in 2047. The release of the paper coincided with a speech by Infrastructure Australia Chair Julie Enow wrote to the National Infrastructure Summit. Introducing road user charging, for instance, is essential to address the serious road funding shortfall that Infrastructure Australia and others have highlighted as a key concern for some time, Ms. Auro said in her speech. Currently, funding to build and maintain our road infrastructure is sourced from a mix of fuel excise and vehicle registration charges. We will see a substantial reduction in revenue as uptake of electric vehicles and alternative fuels increases. Other reforms set out by Infrastructure Australia in its Making Reform Happen paper include the urban water sector, the electricity market, land tax and franchising public transport services. It is worth noting that more work is required. Our paper aims to give decision-makers a framework to build on, not a comprehensive policy model, Ms. Auro said.